Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXB and today is the 13th of September 2022 and the global crypto market is pretty much the same since the last 24 hours. This particular week is all going to be about Ethereum, but this week could be overtaken by CPI numbers, that is the consumer price index that would decide the inflation numbers for US and the rest of the world. So the CPI numbers will be out in the next few hours. Now listen guys, what I would really recommend you to do is, in order to find out accurate information regarding the CPI numbers, go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics website. So in this podcast, I'm going to be explaining where to check that information and what information that you need to be looking at. The big news for this particular week is the Ethereum transition from proof of work to proof of stake. Now, there's a lot of incorrect information going on so far as the Ethereum Merge is concerned. What I would really recommend you to do is listen to a lot of podcasts. Unchained Podcast by Laura Shin has quite a lot of interviews going back to a couple of weeks, going back to a couple of months, even going back to a couple of years, explaining the transition of proof of work to proof of stake. But she has recently released an episode. What I would really recommend you to do is listen to the podcast with Preston Van Loon and they explore the Ethereum Merge. And Bankless Podcast, they have quite a lot of episodes with Arthur Hayes, who talks about if the price of Ethereum is already priced in with the Ethereum Merge. And they have episodes with Tim Biko, Vitalik Buterin, and quite a lot more. And earlier today, Henry Aslanian, who is a co-founder of 9Blocks Capital Management and former head of PwC, so far as the virtual aspect is concerned, he has put up an article via LinkedIn that talks about 10 things you need to know about the merge. And to be honest, I was surprised that the article is really good. Now that being said, on LinkedIn profile, I am seeing quite a lot of misleading and incorrect information. So please make sure that you go ahead and do your own research. Now today, surprisingly guys, there's a lot of news so far as NFT is concerned. As a matter of fact, there's more than 5 news that I'm going to be talking about regarding NFTs. Ethereum Merge NFT is also taking place. And this news was just recently announced a few hours ago by Tim Biko, who's a member from the Ethereum Foundation. Ford is also entering into the metaverse and they're releasing a couple of NFTs. There's an update on the Bored Ape Yacht Club and Starbucks is also releasing an NFTs and they're doing that in partnership with Polygon. And the CEO of Ledger, that is Pascal Gauthier, he had an event in France which was talking about Bitcoin, but even he started talking about the impact of NFTs. And also there is some news about NFT so far as Hollywood is concerned. So there's more than 5 or 6 news that are in today's episode that I'm going to be talking about NFTs. Now regarding UAE, I have 2 news. Now to be honest guys, the first news is not at all good. It is a very centralized project and it is called as Coin. And they want to be the most powerful cryptocurrency in the world. Now the reason why I thought of explaining that in today's podcast is because personally, I do feel that the project is so bad that it will give you an indication of what not to do in a project. And that's the only reason why I like to talk about it in today's episode. It is a very centralized project. The second news is about Crypto Valley Association and Crypto Oasis from Dubai. Now, what they want to do is they want to boost blockchain development in the Middle East. So essentially, it is an association. Now, there are certain good things about the association and certain bad things about the association that I'm going to be discussing. And historically, Bitcoin has had a severe allergic reaction to association. At the same time, there are a couple of good things with this association as well. So I'm going to be discussing that in today's episode. So let's kickstart today's episode. Welcome everyone, it's 18. You're in Dubai and you're listening to Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to the price of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi and Metaverse. And how the series of episodes in the Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well, news that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other 2 news and information is related to Dubai, UAE and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi and Metaverse. And this is followed by Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions from the cryptocurrency world. And every Fridays, we have an episode called Metaverse Everything, where we solely focus on Metaverse. So please check out those episodes as well. And the format for Metaverse Everything podcast is completely different. And guys, what I tend to do is I tend to write a blog via my LinkedIn profile and on my website, that is www.blockchaindxb.com. So my LinkedIn profile is in the show notes below, and please feel free to go ahead and add me on LinkedIn. And on my website, go to the blogs under the crypto blog section. So let's kickstart today's news with the price of the cryptocurrency market. The global crypto market is at $1.07 trillion. Now, since the last 24 hours, it is marginally up by 1.12%. The good thing is the total crypto market volume over the last 24 hours has gone up, and it is currently at $93.32 billion. What's going to be really interesting is when the CPI numbers are going to be out, the volume might go high, but there might be a lot of selling. That's what I think. Now, since the last 24 hours though, the crypto market has gone up by 37.01%. The total volume in DeFi is down to $6.55 billion, and the total value locked in DeFi is $59.8 billion. Now, in DeFi, MakerDAO still accounts for 14.24% of the entire total value locked, and currently $8.52 billion has been locked in the MakerDAO protocol. And DeFi accounts for 7.02% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. Now, what is really interesting and not surprising is that the volume of stablecoins has gone up, and it is currently at $86.24 billion. What is a little bit surprising is that the volume of Binance USD has gone up to $11.8 billion, but the majority of the chunk still resides with Tether USDT at $66.78 billion, and USDC's volume has gone down, and it is currently down to $6.69 billion. Now, that being said, stablecoin still accounts for 91.88% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. Now, guys, it might just be the next few days, but I'll be looking at a comparison between Bitcoin and Ethereum, and the Bitcoin market share is well over the 50% mark of Ethereum. Now, if you've been listening to my podcast for the past 3 days, the Ethereum's market share was well over 50% of that of Bitcoin's market share. So looks like people have been withdrawing funds via Ethereum, and I'll be discussing that when we talk about a blog by CoinShares. Now, Bitcoin's market share right now is $428 billion, whereas Ethereum's market share is $209 billion. So definitely well below the 50% mark of that of Bitcoin. The 24-hour trading volume of Bitcoin is $50 billion, whereas Ethereum's trading volume is $17 billion. Now, because of this number, the dominance of Bitcoin has gone up and the dominance of Ethereum has gone down. Bitcoin's dominance is up to 40.10%, and Ethereum's dominance is down to 17.70%. Now, is it possible that because of the Ethereum merge, a lot of buy the rumor, sell the news is going on? Let's go ahead and explore that. The king of all kings, that is Bitcoin, is currently at $22,315. Since the last 24 hours, it is up by 3.21%, and since the last 7 days, it is up by 12.88%. Ethereum is at $1,709, but since the last 24 hours, it is down by 2.34%, and since the last 7 days, it is up by 6.89%. So it looks like this whole narrative, buy the rumor, sell the news, is definitely in play. I was expecting the price of Ethereum to go past the $2,000 mark, especially as the merge date is getting nearer. But once again, guys, my price predictions is 100% right, 50% of the time. Binance Coin is at $292, and since the last 24 hours, it is also down by 0.33%. And since the last 7 days, it is up by 5.98%. So what do you guys think? As the merge date gets closer, and when the merge date happens, does the price of Ethereum go down or does it go up? Now, what I particularly think is that today the CPI numbers will be out, that is the Consumer Price Index numbers will be out, and this would actually determine the Bidenflation or the inflation numbers. So what news will dominate the price of cryptocurrencies? Will it be the CPI numbers or will it be the Ethereum merge? Now, the CPI numbers will be out via the official website of Bureau of Labor Statistics. Now, guys, go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics website. The document that they publish is really simple and short and sweet. They kind of put up like an image, and in that image you can actually scroll down and look at different areas which has gone up. Now, what I would recommend you to do is keep an eye on the fuel and gas percentage. The reason being, that actually did go well past the 90% mark because of the whole Russia-Ukraine situation. But since the last 2 months, that percentage did actually go down. But the inflation numbers in US is well ahead of the 2% mark. Now, it is possible that because of midterm election taking place in US in November, the Biden administration will be trying to manipulate the data. So it's going to be really, really critical to look at the CPI numbers that is going to be out. As a matter of fact, there's an online media publication called as US News, and they have reported that Tuesday's numbers will be more than purely economic significance. The reason being, with just 2 months left before the critical midterm elections, the White House is very eager to show progress on inflation. So the numbers might just be deceiving, but it's going to be really interesting what Jerome Powell has to say at the briefing. Now, if you do want to listen to what Jerome Powell is saying, the videos are always live on YouTube. So if you want to find out accurate information from first source, go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics website and then listen to interviews only by Jerome Powell. Now, mainstream media does tend to twist the news and try to portray their own narrative. That is fake news. Now, the big question is, how will this affect the price of cryptocurrency market? Now, historically, what I've been doing is every time Jerome Powell goes live, I've been tracking the price few hours before the event, during the event, and after the event. And to be honest, the price does not fluctuate until 4 to 6 hours after the event is taking place. And this is the whole narrative that mainstream media tends to drive. Now, last time he talked about there is no recession. And believe it or not, guys, if you look at information regarding labor, the US is 100% not in recession. Now, if you're looking at articles for mainstream media, they are putting out incorrect information. If you look at the labor demand and supply, US is definitely not in recession. And this is something which Jerome Powell was asked more than 7 times. And all the 7 times, he said that no, we are definitely not in recession. So mainstream media is trying to put out a fake narrative. As a matter of fact, a couple of leading financial experts via LinkedIn also published that the US is in recession. And I actually responded to them that US is definitely not in recession. So guys, it's so critical that you look at information from the first source. Now, if you want to find out information regarding recession, go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Department. It does actually mention the employment rate. It tells you the demand for labor. It also tells you the supply for labor. As much as we dislike it, the volume so far as the demand is concerned and the supply of human resources and workforce is concerned, US is perfectly fine, and we are definitely not going to be in a recession at least till 2023 or maybe even the start of 2024. But the big question is, how will this news affect cryptocurrencies? If the inflation numbers go up, I'm pretty much sure there's going to be some movement in the cryptocurrency market. But knowing the Biden administration will be in charge of these numbers, I wouldn't be surprised if the numbers are inaccurate. Now let's talk about Ethereum. So the whole transition from proof of work to proof of stake is going to be taking place. Again, guys, there's a lot of incorrect information circulating on LinkedIn as well as a lot of YouTube videos as well. What I would really like you to do is listen to podcasts from first source. So Laura Shin has a brilliant episode with Preston Van Loon, and they discuss what the merge is going to be doing for Ethereum. And Bankless Podcast is an orgy of Ethereum. So if you do want to find out accurate information of what the merge date is, they have quite a lot of interviews with Tim Biko, who's a key member for the Ethereum Foundation. They have quite a lot of interviews with Vitalik Buterin, Jordi Alexander, and Arthur Hayes. And Arthur Hayes, I believe, has an interview with Laura Shin as well as with Bankless. So listen to those episodes. What I would recommend you to do is Henry Aslanian. He's the co-founder of 9Blocks Capital Management. He has put up a brilliant article via LinkedIn that shares 10 things you need to know about the merge. It is extremely short and sweet. So the 10 things that he talks about is when will the merge date actually take place. He talks about why does Ethereum need an upgrade in the first place. And he mentions the merge isn't just a single event. It actually consists of a longer journey. And the fourth thing that he mentioned in this article, which I particularly like, that a hard fork and accompanying airdrop could coincide with the merge. And he also mentions the merge will reduce Ethereum's electricity consumption by over 99%. And this is a massive and really important news. And I'll be talking about in a bit how the woke companies such as BlackRock and Larry Fink, what they are going to do so far as the ESG concern of Bitcoin is concerned. Now, I'll go back to that in a bit. Now, the sixth point that he mentioned is the switch from proof of work to proof of stake will have no significant impact on lowering transaction fees. Now, this news that he said is something which I 100% agree to, but a lot of the articles on LinkedIn is absolutely incorrect, and a lot of mainstream media is putting in their own narrative. The seventh point that he mentioned also is a brilliant point, that he talks about the switch of proof of work to proof of stake will not have any significant impact on transaction speeds. Absolutely correct. And the eighth point he mentioned is that the merge will not require any downtime on the Ethereum network. And the final 2 points are the merge may result in Ethereum becoming an inflationary asset, and the merge will not enable staking withdrawals. So really beautiful article. I really have to commend him on that. And the language that he's written is really short and sweet and brilliant. At the same time, guys, if you look at any information via YouTube, a lot of fake news is going on. Now, going back to the point that he mentions about Ethereum's merge will reduce electricity consumption by over 99%. My big question is, how will this narrative impact Bitcoin? Now, with the woke agenda of Larry Fink, who's the CEO of BlackRock that manages over $13 trillion, will they be in a position to manipulate Bitcoin miners? That is my biggest worry. Now, the whole ESG concern that you hear, so far as the cryptocurrency space is concerned, it's only because of Larry Fink. Now, just to give you an idea, even Elon Musk does actually follow the instructions of Larry Fink. So Larry Fink essentially writes a letter to all the CEOs in the world. And because of that letter, Elon Musk decided that Tesla will not be accepting Bitcoin, and that is because of the ESG concern. Larry Fink did actually mention via the blog in BlackRock that they are working with Bitcoin miners. Now, what he did mention that they're working on renewable energy, but if ESG is one of the biggest concern, will they be pushing for Bitcoin mining to also switch from proof of work to proof of stake? I'm hoping that absolutely does not happen. Now let me share some other information regarding the outflows and inflows in Ethereum. Glassnodes has not published an article yet. Usually what happens is, every Mondays, Glassnode provides a weekly insight. So most likely I'll try to cover that news in tomorrow's episode. But CoinShares has published a blog via Medium, and that states that investors currently jitter over the merge and are prompting outflows from Ethereum. So they saw outflows totaling $62 million last week, despite the improved certainty of the merge. So it looks like investors are a little bit skeptical on the Ethereum, and that's one of the reasons why the price of Ethereum has gone down since the last 24 hours. So again, guys, when you're on the cryptocurrency space, the whole buy the rumor, sell the news is definitely working out. And historically, every time there's an upgrade or a merge date on that particular date or a few days before the date, the price definitely tends to go down. Even the day when El Salvador made Bitcoin a legal tender, the entire cryptocurrency market went down by over $300 billion. The Bitcoin market cap itself went down by $100 billion, and the price of Bitcoin that day went down by $8,000. If I remember correctly, the price when El Salvador made Bitcoin a legal tender was $52,000, but the day it made a legal tender, the price went down by $8,000. Now, those were some Ethereum-related news, but there is also another news regarding Ethereum which has to do with NFT. Now, Tim Biko, who's the key member of the Ethereum Foundation and one of the key persons responsible for the Ethereum Merge, did actually mention via Twitter about an Ethereum Merge NFT. So, a Merge NFT is also currently in place, and there's a whole art show of them. Now, all of the proceeds of this sale of NFT will go to the developers and researchers, and they're doing that with Guild Protocol. So go to his Twitter account and read through that tweet. He just tweeted that literally a few hours ago. Now guys, the next news is all about NFTs, and I have quite a lot of news regarding NFTs. So let's kickstart with Ford. Now Ford Motor Company is planning to enter the metaverse with virtual cars and NFTs. So the original article is published via Daily Coin, and they have provided an official filing with the United States Patent and Trademarks Office. So Ford is definitely getting into metaverse. Apart from Ford, even Bored Ape Yacht Club, they are getting into NFTs, and they are doing that in partnership with Universal Music Group. The Universal Music Group are responsible for top bands such as Beyonce, Bruno Mars, and they're working on a metaverse protocol. What I'm going to be doing is, on my Friday's episode called Metaverse Everything, I'll be explaining that in detail. But in the meantime, if you want to read through the article, go to my LinkedIn profile. You will get the article, which is via Decrypt. The third news is about Starbucks. They are getting into NFTs as well, and they're doing that using Polygon technology. So what they're going to do is they're going to issue a coffee house chain to issue NFT stamps, and the official blog is via Starbucks. So it's going to be really interesting to see once that thing is launched, how the NFT holders will be able to utilize the benefits of Starbucks. But the big news is Starbucks, which is one of my favorite, is getting into NFT. The fourth news is by Bitcoin maximalist, that is Pascal Gauthier, who's the CEO of Ledger. Now what happened is that he was at a conference in France, which is the France's largest Bitcoin conference, called as Surfing Bitcoin, and it is really interesting that he actually mentioned that the cryptocurrency market is down, but there's a lot of interest in NFTs. Now look guys, the NFT craze is definitely building up. And guys, one thing what I noticed while I was researching for my podcast for today, I could see a lot of news regarding NFTs is concerned. And one thing which I've been mentioning in my podcast since the last few months is, in 2018 and 19, there was a lot of news regarding DeFi. And in 2020 is when the whole NFT news started. And in 2021, to be honest, there was a lot of news regarding Metaverse. But today, all of a sudden, I'm seeing quite a lot of news so far as NFT is concerned. And the fifth news is regarding a Hollywood legend, Quentin Tarantino. And this news is regarding an NFT for the movie Pulp Fiction. Now, I do remember listening to a podcast by Laura Shin, and it was with the founders of Secret Network, which wanted to privatize, which wanted to have a lot of privacy so far as NFT is concerned. 1 week before, he talked about a Hollywood legend whom they have signed, and he did not mention about who that person is, because it is obviously a massive celebrity. And a week after, we found out that it is the Hollywood legend Quentin Tarantino, and the NFT was with reference to the movie Pulp Fiction. But there were some problems and lawsuits, but the news for today is that the Hollywood legend Quentin Tarantino did actually end the Pulp Fiction NFT lawsuit over copyright infringements. This particular drama has been ended by both the parties. So at this point of time, I'm not sure who the other party was who was disagreeing with the launch of the NFTs. I'm not sure if it was the actors or the company who had financed the movie. But the news is that the drama between the NFT has ended and the lawsuit has ended. So in a way, kind of like a good thing for both the parties. Now guys, let's talk about two news regarding UAE. Now this particular project is something which I'm not a fan about, and it is called as CY Coin. And so let me go ahead and explain what CY Coin is, and what they are doing is an absolutely centralized. Now what they've mentioned on the website is it is the most advanced blockchain project, and it is called as CYLT. Now it claims to be the first infallible cryptocurrency based on AI and cybernetics, blockchain social networking, real estate investment, and gold exchange market. And they are the title sponsor for an event taking place in Dubai called Meta V Summit, and they're also launching a public sale. Now CY Coin claims to be a revolutionary blockchain on proof of authority chain, and it is a platform ecosystem that provides the most futuristic financial services for the world. And they claim that CY Coin is a freely exchangeable medium pertinent to development of highly advanced futuristic societies where human interacts with artificial intelligence and cybernetics in a secure, economical, and lightning-fast manner. Now, really surprised that the information that they put out does actually claim that they are very centralized. In the website, they mention that CY blockchain processes transactions 100 times faster than Ethereum and 6,000 times faster than Bitcoin blockchain. And the transaction fees are 666 times lesser than Ethereum and 30 times cheaper than Bitcoin and 30 times cheaper than Bitcoin. If you are someone who does not know anything about cryptocurrencies, you might find this thing really attractive, but the biggest problem with the information that they put up is it does show a very high degree of centralization. It means that they are the ones who are deciding on the transaction details. They are the ones who are deciding the transaction fees. I'm not even sure if the team actually knows about the whole blockchain trilemma problem, that is decentralization, security, and scalability. So the decisions are definitely done by a centralized team. And one reason why I wanted to cover it, because if you are working on a protocol, these are the things that you should not be doing. On the website, they claim that they have a team of 110 developers to reduce transaction speeds 100 times faster than mentioned by 2023. And what they have mentioned is, listen to this, guys, we have not allowed anyone to mine coin and mint coin. Nobody, not even the CPI coin ruler, can mint coins in the future. Now, this decision is taken by them. Now, it might sound great that we have not allowed anyone, but who has made that decision of not allowing anyone? It is done by the centralized team. So definitely very high degree of centralization. And they claim that they're doing that to safeguard the interest of early supporters who can benefit with the price increase of CY coin, but yet at the same time, they are promoting their own coin and they have very fixed price amount, which I'll be discussing that in a bit. And in the website, they have 18 blockchain projects. Now, I'm really worried that if SEC or WARA were to actually go to this particular project, they will be severely fined. And they have 18 projects which are mentioned in the white paper, definitely not good. So the news is that CY coin wants to be the most powerful cryptocurrency world, and there is a businessman, Russian businessman called Gabriel Nikolov, who is launching his own virtual cryptocurrency. So listen to this, guys. It is their own virtual cryptocurrency, not by the society, not by the community. It is done by businessman Gabriel Nikolov. And Gabriel Nikolov is one of the most successful businessmen in the world, and he is launching his own virtual cryptocurrency. So definitely a centralized project. If you go through the white paper is well over 74 pages long, and to be honest, I found it absolutely appalling in what they have mentioned. Now, they do want to launch their CY coin, and they have a fixed price. So during the pre-launch phase, you can buy one coin for $6.66, while the exchange listing will be at a much higher price, and the estimated target value after 2 years is $600. This is what transitioning to a security. So if SEC were to read it, they will be severely fined, because what they are doing is, it is a very centralized project. They're clearly mentioning that you can buy one coin for $6.69, and price of that will be targeted to $600. They will heavily be fined by the SECs. And they mentioned is that there are 66 million coins in total, but only 3 million will be sold during the first phase. So the big question is, who decides that only 3 million or $5 million will be sold during the first phase? It is a centralized project, so definitely not ideal. Now, if you are someone who is building a cryptocurrency protocol, look at this project, and these are the things that you should not be doing. And if you need any feedback or suggestions, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. I'll be more than happy to share what are the things that you need to be doing when you're building a cryptocurrency or a blockchain protocol. Now, guys, listen. If you are an investor and are not aware about cryptocurrencies, this project does look absolutely appealing, but it is definitely not the right use case of cryptocurrencies and blockchain. But let's talk about the second news, that is Crypto Valley Association and Crypto Oasis. And what they're planning to do is they're planning to boost blockchain development in the Middle East. Now, I have covered Crypto Oasis quite a number of times in the past, but this time they're merging with Crypto Valley Association. And Crypto Valley Association is a Crypto Valley in Switzerland, and Crypto Oasis is in Dubai. Now, Crypto Oasis did exceed the goal in 2022. So the news is that Crypto Valley Association has partnered with Crypto Oasis, and by doing that, they want to share the goals for growth of thriving blockchain ecosystem to boost the development and adoption of blockchain technology. Now, this news might sound good, but I'm going to break down the good things and the bad things of associations in general. Now, the good thing about Crypto Oasis and Crypto Valley Association is that it provides you with networking opportunities. And if you're seeking for investment, it's much more easier to find investments, and there'll be a growing number of companies joining the pool. And you can also have access to international connections. The fact that they are merging with someone from Switzerland and in Dubai gives you an opportunity to meet people from different countries as well. And you can share experiences, and different industries are in that pool. Now, one of the industries which I really want to have a podcasting session is a law firm. They are also with Crypto Oasis. Now, let's talk about some of the negative things about an association. One thing you need to remember: why was Bitcoin created? Bitcoin was created so the transactions are peer-to-peer without the need for a middle person. If you go to the definition of Bitcoin, Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. The biggest problem I have with association is that these associations, as they tend to go bigger, they tend to have best practices. Again, who decides what the best practices are? In case of associations, it's the founding members. It's the association members who decides what the best practices are. These best practices do turn out to be setting standards, and gradually they tend to have control over the projects. Now, with reference to BitOasis, I must say that the experience I had with some of the members were absolutely horrendous. Now, it looks like they might have been new to the cryptocurrency space, but that being said, it could be possible that the other members are well advanced in the knowledge and they do have great information. Now, let me also go ahead and explain why Bitcoin and open source technology particularly have allergic reactions to association. Now, Bitcoin and open source protocols historically have had strong allergic reactions to associations, and the reason being, these associations tend to start standard operating procedures and best practices, and these are not ideal for a cryptocurrency world or blockchain protocol. It might be ideal, let's say, for industries, because these associations tend to have their own interest, and as a member or business working with them, you need to follow the guidelines of the association instead the guidelines of open blockchain protocol. Now, over time, as these associations tends to grow stronger, could it be possible that these associations could lead to layer 1 protocol changes? So let's say, for instance, if Crypto Oasis and Crypto Value Associations becomes one of the biggest organizations, if Larry Fink and BlackRock want to make changes to layer 1 protocol, rather than speaking to developers, they would directly buy Crypto Oasis or be in charge of Crypto Oasis, and then they could make sure that the protocol layer changes. And this is purely in talks of the ESG concern and the proof of work to proof of stake concern. So it's easier even for a state to force these associations to change underlying protocol, which in other industries might be brilliant. But when you talk about cryptocurrencies, when you talk about peer-to-peer electronic cash system, I definitely don't think so it is the right move. And when it comes to sanctions, which was in the news last month, it is so much easier for a state to go ahead and approach the associations. The government could force associations, and then they could directly or indirectly impact the project in questions. So associations can also hold a majority of the stake in the protocol, and they could steer the industry in the corporate direction as opposed to peer-to-peer open source technology. That's one of the reasons why I do think that there are certain benefits as well as negatives of having an association. So that's all for today, guys, on the Crypto and Coffee Update from Blockchain DXB. In case if you guys have any feedback or suggestions, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. You can also check out my website, that is www.blockchaindxb.com, and also check out area2071.com that talks everything about Metaverse. And if you like listening to this podcast, please give it a 5-star rating and share the word across. Now, for the next few minutes, it's going to be an Ask Me Anything series where you listeners can ask any questions about Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. So let's get started with the Ask Me Anything series. Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXB. You're listening to the Ask Me Anything series where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And remember, guys, Monday to Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. we have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. This is followed by 2 news and information related to Dubai, UAE and Middle East from the cryptocurrency world. And what you're listening to right now is the Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi and Metaverse. I have a question by Rishi who asks, do you think it is a good idea to create NFTs? Now Rishi, you need to understand what an NFT is. As long as the NFT has value, then it is a good idea to create NFT. You can't create an NFT because it is a trend. And one thing which I mentioned earlier in my podcast as well, when I used to be researching for my podcast and for my consultancy work in Bitcoin, in 2018 and 19, the massive news was about DeFi. And when I used to go for meetup events, we used to not talk about blockchain protocols in 2018 or 19. Rather, the entire talk was about DeFi, yield farming. In 2017, it was all about ICO. The months before that, 2014 to 16, when I used to go for meetup events, the only talk was how do you buy cryptocurrencies. So there were talks about how setting up a cryptocurrency exchanges. So the trend always keeps on changing. Now since 2020, Rishi, Meta Cohen, ever since he bought the People artwork for $69 million, that's when people started to talk about NFT. So going back to your question, is it a good idea to create NFT? It depends on what protocol, and why do you want to create an NFT? Does it have any value to an NFT? Now if you're an artist, and if you're a celebrity, and if you want to create an NFT where your fans or your followers do benefit, then it's a great case. And does it have any utility for it? And one NFT, Rishi, which I'm currently working on, is to do with an obstacle course race podcast. So I have another podcast called as Rise in the Obstacle Course Race. It's more to do with running. And we are working on releasing 7 NFTs. And each NFTs representing the 7 Emirates of UAE. But these NFTs will be having some utilities such as free training, free tickets to the event, free gaze. We're also planning to have a lunch with one of the top OGs of obstacle course race and quite a lot more. So as long as the NFT has some utility, then it does make it sense. But other than that, I really am not sure, if creating NFT is a good idea, if your followers or fans can benefit by it, then yeah, sure, it's definitely a great thing. I have another question by Andy who asks, do you think Bitcoin will also move to proof of stake? Now this is a brilliant question, Andy. Now really I'm hoping that does not happen, but what I really worry is that the centralization of Bitcoin in few hands is an absolutely dangerous thing. And in yesterday's podcast, I talked about how Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy, what they're doing is they want to sell $500 million of their share, and they want to go ahead and buy cryptocurrencies, but most likely they'll be buying Bitcoin. Now, if that is the case, a lot of the Bitcoin is with selected few people. And Larry Fink, who's the CEO of BlackRock, what he can do is he's really woke. He's focusing a lot on ESG. Now, if he really wants to change the underlying protocol, he can convince people like Michael Saylor, Elon Musk, because they are also members of the Bitcoin Mining Council. And that's one of the reasons, why I personally don't like councils on associations. So they can, using the power, switch from proof of work to proof of stake. So is it a good idea, or do I think Bitcoin will move to proof of work? I'm hoping it does not, but will it happen? I don't know. Chris Larsen, who's also the key person from Ripple Labs, he's also a massive advocate of Bitcoin moving from proof of work to proof of stake. So I really am hoping that it does not happen. But if you look at Ethereum's change from proof of work to proof of stake, 99% of the energy is being saved. And if you've been listening to my podcast since a very long time, one thing which I do not like about Bitcoin is the high electricity consumption. Now let me explain what I mean by high electricity consumption. It is good for Bitcoin to have security, but the network difficulty is so high that a lot of the energy is actually going to waste. So think of it, Andy, of having 8 doors to a lock, and all your 8 doors have another 8 locks. That's how strong the Bitcoin network difficulty is. And because the Bitcoin network difficulty is so high, miners are spending a lot of energy. And there's also another talk how that could actually lead to a 51% attack and quite a lot more. But to answer your question, do I think that Bitcoin will move to proof of stake? I wouldn't be surprised if it does actually happen, but I'm hoping that it actually does not happen. So that's all for today, guys, on the Ask Me Anything series from Blockchain DXB. And in case if you guys have any feedback or suggestions, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. You can also check out my website, that is www.blockchaindxb.com. And guys, check out my other website, that is area2071.com, that talks everything about Metaverse. And remember, guys, Monday to Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., we have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And how the series of episodes on the Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well, news that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other two news and information is related to Dubai, UAE, and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And what you're listening to right now is the Ask Me Anything series, where your listeners can ask any questions from the cryptocurrency world. Thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.